ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या सम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। Mantra number 8. तपसा क्षीयते ब्रह्म तपसा क्षीयते ब्रह्म ततोऽन्नमभिजायते ततोऽन्नमभिजायते अन्नात् प्राणो मनः सत्यम् अन्नात् प्राणो मनः सत्यम् लोकाः कर्मसु चामृतम् लोकाः कर्मसु चामृतम्। The Srishti Krama is being described here. The order of creation, how the creation took place, that is being talked over here. The Srishti Krama is different in Taittiriya Upanishad and it is different in Chandogya Upanishad. Why? The essence of the Shastra teaching, the purpose of the Shastra teaching is not to talk about the Krama, the order of the creation. It is to convey that Sarvam Khaluvidam Brahma. Whatever is not separate from Brahman. That is the message. The Krama is not order. And whatever is, being is non-separate from Brahman. Brahman is of the nature of astitvam, isness. And the whole creation is not separate from it. Because everything is Namarupa. And whatever is created, so-called created, is nothing but manifestation. Manifestation means creation of only Namarupa. On the manifestation of names and form, nothing else. So whatever is is manifestation in terms of names and form, and that E being is not separate. Isness is borrowed from Brahman, and therefore it is not separate from. So Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, that is a Tatparya, that is the essence, not the order of creation. Okay? Keep this in mind whenever we study Srishti Krama. Sometimes that Krama we may not understand also. Rishis have said something, but then it is not the essence. The purport is to tell us that the whole creation is mithya, because the easiness of the creation is borrowed from Brahman. What that is because of Brahman. As we said, nothing can come out from non-existence. From abhava, there cannot be bhava. And that being the case, it has to be there, and the easiness is never negated. And that easiness is Brahman, and that is the reality of everything. Mother Earth is, seed is, sprout is, plant is, flower is, fruit is, everything is. So, Brahman is the one who provides the existence to everything that is. In other words, everything is superimposed upon Brahman. And I can go one step further. Brahman is the one who provides ignorance to everything, including the ignorance. The ignorance is also exists in the isness of Brahman. Maya is, that is also of Brahman. You destroy the thing, the destructive state, the seed form is, that is also Brahman. That is the question. That is the point. Okay? And that being the case, I also is. Knowing I as is, the very existence, everything as well is known. Because I am that existence which permeates all existence in different names and form. The space is, the time is, the vastu is, and vastu is not. Destruction also is not, and that isness is me. Unconditioned, attribute-free isness. Therefore, that devoid of any attributes, that isness, astitvam, sat, is I. Sadeva saumya idamagra asit. Shastra doesn't end by saying that everything is and that is Brahman. That is Brahman is you. You are not separate from that attributeless Brahman existence. That is your Swarupa. And therefore, the Krama is said, Tapasa chiyate Brahma. From the tapas, it bulges. And we saw bulging is of different nature. Tato annam. Annam means that is avyaktam, Maya. You can say the upadana karanam for the creation is born. The bijavastha of all that is going to be experienced by jivas in future. Adyate iti annam, that which is eaten, that which is experienced, and that which is experienced is born in a subtle form, first of all. Then it assumes the grosser form. The subtle form is, you can say, avyakta, Maya. And then from there comes Annat pranaha. Pranaha means hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha means hiranyam gnanam garbhe yasya saha. One who is full of knowledge, one who is complete knowledge, one who is endowed with total knowledge, not only knowledge, that Gnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Ichha Shakti Yuktaha. That means Brahmaji is born. Okay? The these three Trividha Shakti is unconditioned, unstifled, unobstructed in case of Brahmaji. Whereas in case of human being, these Shaktis are conditioned, they are limited, they are as though stifled by what? Two things. You can say ignorance as well as you can say upadhi. The body-mind complex being limited, the manifestation of this Shakti is also limited. Gnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti and Kriya Shakti. By the way, there is a popular belief that you should not desire. There is another problem. Give up all desires. This is not your t-shirt that you can give up. Even people cannot give up their t-shirts. They give it up, but typical Indian will keep for exchange for the utensils, વાસણ વાળો આવે ને એના માટે રાખે. I can get some money out of it. Or you give up and think that I have to give it to somebody, but I just can't throw away in the garbage. It is not like that. Ichha Shakti is a blessing. They translate these words of Bhagavad Gita when the wise person is described as Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Partha Manogatan Atmannevatmana Tushtaha Sthita Prajnastatochite. The one who is Sthita Prajna. Atmani Eva Atmana Tushtaha. Prajahati Sarvan Kaman gives up all desires. In the end also Bhagavan says, Vihaya kaman yas sarvan pumam sarati nispruha nirmamo nirahankaraha stitatihi muni uchyate, who has given up all the desires. Giving up desire, it is to be understood. It is not the meaning of this sentence is, the sentence is not to be interpreted in a direct sense. The meaning is in an implied sense. And therefore, listening that, they think that we have to give up the desires. The same Bhagavan who says this in the second chapter, that give up the desires, if he meant to give up, the same Bhagavan later on says, what does he say? Dharma viruddha bhuteshu Kamosmi Bharatarsha. Oh Arjuna, I am the Kama. I am desire in all bhuteshu. Dharma viruddha bhuteshu Kamosmi Bharatarsha. What kind of Kama? What kind of desire is Bhagavan? He says Dharma aviruddha. The desire in concomitance to, in alignment to Dharma, means all dharmic desires. In other words, all proper desires. All that you should be doing, you ought to be doing, that desire is nothing but manifestation of Ishvara. Because Ishvara himself is embodiment of Dharma. When we say Bhagavan, that word Bhaga includes 6 things. Samagrasya, Ishwariyasya, Viryasya, Yashasha, Sriya. Dharma or Vairagya is there in absolute sense. So having Dharma, that when you perform Dharma, when you commit to Dharma, you are committing to Ishvara. And whenever there is a desire, dharmic ichha, the ichha which is sanctioned by Shastra, approved by Shastra, that which is expected out of you. Or in a Puja Swamiji's jargon, I can say, contributory desire. Desire to contribute, desire to give. That desire is nothing but manifestation of Ishvara. And that is why in our culture, a dharmic person is always respected, is bowed down, is revered, because through him, Ishvara is manifesting as desires. Any dharma karma also, dharmic kriya, is also manifestation of Ishvara in the kriya shakti, in the form of, and the dharmic gnanam is also respected. But that is the manifestation of Ishvara in the form of knowledge. So, highest respect is given to the person who studies dharma. Of course, ultimate respect is to the person who studies Vedanta, Shastra, spiritual knowledge. But a person studying dharma, person teaching dharma is also respected. Therefore, these kathakaras are respected. Even though they are grahasthas, they are imparting the knowledge of dharma. They are unfolding Ishvara, who is in the form of dharma. The person performing dharma karma, those brahmanas are respected because they are manifesting Ishvara in dharma karma, what is proper. Vedic yajna yagadi, etc. They are respected, and anyone having that kind of desire is also somebody to be respected. So never be afraid of desires. Never try to give up the desires. Or never think that we have to give up or create another guilt in yourself. Because these certain teachings create complexes in the person's mind. The fellow already has enough complex. One of the greatest complexes is I am useless. And if married, it is more confounded because each one of them keep telling, you don't know anything. You don't know anything. Typical Gujju, हमने कहीं हमजन पड़े नहीं. You don't understand anything. There was one joke. Okay? The statements of the wives of the great people, This, this, our Microsoft chairman's wife says, what all the time you are looking out of window? Look at me. Why you are trying to open the windows? Is there somebody to be looked at? And the wife of the Galileo says, what the hell are you looking at the star all the time? This microscope and this telescope. Can you see my father's house? That is the only thing to be seen by you. You should look search for your in-laws house. And when you can't see your in-laws house, what's the use of your telescope? Throw it away in the garbage. Anyway, coming back to just take it lighter. That somehow they have a habit of complimenting each other. I heard that you don't know anything. They keep telling to others. And the fellow already has some complexes. And then this one more complex. What? I have to give up desires. And I cannot give up desire. You cannot. Nobody can. Because you know why? You don't desire to desire. You don't will a will. It just happens. You discover yourself having a desire. And if that is a case, that desire is not born out of decision, how can you give it up? By decision. You cannot give up by decision. And now onwards, I am not going to desire. In fact, it will bounce back, and more virulently. The Arjuna's question, Pramathi balavat thridam. Mind is very stubborn, obstinate as well. So the desires will keep coming. So anyway, coming back to this discussion. Trivida Shakti Yuktaha. Aparisimita, limitless way. All the threefold Shaktis are there in Brahmaji, Mr. Brahmaji, and then Satyam. Satya means Panchamahabhutas. Is a relative term for Bhutas. They are Vyavaharik Satyam. What is Satyam? That which gives existence to everything else. Whole gross world, whole the manifest world is nothing but different combinations of Panchamahabhutas. And therefore, they are called Satyam with reference to this Vyavaharik Jagat, this Vyavaharik perceptible world, the experienced world, with reference to the world that you experience, Panchamahabhutas are Satyam. Okay? And as we have seen in Tattva Bodha, that Panchagnanendriyas and Antahkaranam are born out of Sattvic Amshas of all the Panchamahabhutas. Panchagnanendriyani and Pranaha, Panchapranaha, are born out of Rajasamsha of these five elements. And all these five elements undergo the process of Panchikaranam, and through Panchikaranam, the Panchamahabhutas are created, and out of which all these lokas, Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Mahaha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam, Atala, Vitala, Talatala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Sutala, Patala. The 7 up and 7 down, all lokas are created, and they are nothing but Panchamahabhutas. Therefore, we call this Jagat as Pancha Bhautikam Jagat. You know, in all Hindi and Gujarati, there is a phrase when somebody dies, विलीन हो गया पंच महाभूत में, and internet also got villain. That was the one I was telling. Anyway, it seems that is a time when it loses connection for a few seconds or a minute. Then I have to switch over to something else. Anyway, coming back to this, Satyam. Then it says, Karmaha Amrutam Cha. When lokas are created, jivas are there, and then Karmasu Cha Amrutam. So, karma and the karma phala, they are created. That's how the creation is. Karma phala is called Amrutam. That is the nature of karma. There is a vakya, Na bhuktam kshiyate karma kalpakoti kshataihi api avashyam anubhoktavyam karmana phalam shubhashubham. That karma phala, if not experienced, if not enjoyed, it doesn't come to an end by itself. The karma phala will come to you after kalpas, in 4 cycles of yuga, Dwapar, Satya, Treta, etc. And not only one cycle, but thousands of cycles. It will always come. So this is a wrong theory that we will exhaust all karmas. We will nullify all the karma phalas. There is a theologist to think that we do a lot of tapas and we burn all the karmas. And therefore, this becomes the last birth. It can never, ever happen. 2 reasons. One, they are infinite in number. In this life, you cannot nullify them. You cannot counter them in just one life because they are infinite in number. 1. Secondly, the varieties of karma phala is so much that by doing certain tapas, you cannot impact, that they will not fructify to you and you can get away from them. No. There are prayashchittas, but what all prayashchittas that you do in this life in the form of tapas, they are not enough to counter all karma phalas. There will be some leftover and which cannot be. There no karma phala, no tapas can be the antidote to certain karma phalas that you have done. And therefore, it's not possible and it's not proper to say that I will exhaust, I will destroy all the karma phalas in this life by doing tapas, and therefore I commit to tapas. There are religions who are committed to life of tapas. They are sadhus, they are devotees. All the time do varieties of penance, fasting, all kinds of things they do. And they believe that you can get away by this. No. So karma phala is infinite in each one's account, and they will invariably fructify, mature, and you have to exhaust them. And therefore they are called amritam. So this is how it is born. And now the next mantra, let us see. Yas sarvagnas sarvavit, yas sarvagnas sarvavit, yasya gnanamayam tapaha, yasya gnanamayam tapaha, tasmad etat brahmanama, tasmad etat brahmanama, rupamannam cha jayate. रूपमन्नं च जायते यस् सर्वज्ञः सर्ववित् यस्य ज्ञानमयं तपः तस्मादेतस्माद् ब्रह्म नाम रूपमन्नं च जायते तस्मादेतद् ब्रह्म नाम रूपमन्नं च जायते. Look at it. Yaha means that sarvagnaha sarvavit. As of now, we just put it as it is. We will see there is a difference between these two words. In a way, these two words mean the same. Sarvavit, sarvam janati iti sarvagnaha, and sarvam veti iti sarvavit. One who knows everything. Sarvam janati iti sarvagna. One who knows everything is sarvagna. Sarvam veti. One who knows everything is sarvagna. So sarvavit and sarvagna mean the same. But when they are used together, there is a difference in the meaning. We will see later after seeing the word translation. That is all-knowing, and then yasya gnanam mayam tapaha. You see, whose tapas is gnanamayam, in the form of knowledge. Whose that which is sarvagna and sarvavit, that whose tapas is in the form of knowledge. And what is that? From that, tasmad, from that, etasmad, from this Brahman, that which is this Brahman, nama rupa mannam cha jayate, names and form and food are born. Okay? That Brahman which is all-knowing, and that Brahman whose tapas is nothing but knowledge alone, from that Brahman all the names and forms and the food are born. That is a translation. Okay. Now look at this word. Shruti talks about Brahman here. These are all the lakshanas of Brahman. That two, three things he gives, three things he talks about. That Brahman which is Sarvagna Sarvavit, that Brahman whose tapas is only in the form of knowledge, and from that Brahman, this Nama Rupa Mannam cha Jayate. Nama Rupa and Annas are born. That's what it says. Now, here, the point to be noted is the Shruti, while introducing the Brahman, he said first what? He introduced Brahman as Aksharam. Okay? That Paravidya, fifth mantra. We are now in the ninth mantra. Look at the fifth mantra. Fifth mantra says, Tatra para Rugvedo, Yajurvedo, Samavedo, Pyatharvanaha, Tatra apara, that apara vidya, Shiksha, Kalpo, Vyakaranam, Niruktam, Chando, Jyotishamiti. And then it says, Atha para, Yayatad aksharam adigamte. Paravidya is that by which you know aksharam. So Shruti referred to Brahman as aksharam. Aksharam means that which is a neuter gender. Okay? That way. Now it's Shruti says pulling sarvagnaha, masculine, sarvagnaha sarvavit. That means that Ishvaraha. So both are same. Please note that. That attributes less Brahman and Ishvara are same. Okay? Why? The Brahman with reference to the creation is called Ishvara. Or the cause of the creation, that Brahman, that which is the cause of creation, endowed with Maya, is called Ishvara. And the Brahman on its own is called as Brahman, devoid of Maya, as though. So both are same. In a popular jargon, Saguna and Nirguna are same. People are unnecessarily creating confusions, and they almost argue hair splitting, not hair splittingly, body splittingly. They fight because they think the God is formless and others say the God is with form. This is nonsense. And the Abrahamic religion, the one major contention against us is that we worship the God with the form. And they don't know that our God is formless and with form both. And they say our God is only has only one thing, formless God. But the irony is the formless God is given a location. God is formless, but God is sitting in heaven. How can the formless thing can have a location? You cannot have a location for a formless vastu. But still they say formless God is in heaven. We say that formless and with the form are nothing but one and the same. The same Akshara Brahma, as though, I would repeat, they are same means as though, therefore same. It's not that formless Brahman becomes with form. There is no becoming. It as though assumes the form, as though becomes Ishvara. Therefore, these words are to be understood properly. Okay? They are not different. The, the, the Saguna is as though, and because he is the cause of the whole creation, and the creation, entire creation, he is also as though. There is no real creation, and there is no real God which created this whole blessed. We have discussed this in detail yesterday. It is unmanifest to manifest, manifest to unmanifest. Avyaktaदीनि भूतानि व्यक्त मध्यानि भारत अव्यक्त निधनान्येव तत्र का परिदेवना. Yesterday I have talked about at length. So, coming back to this, there it is called Aksharam Brahma, neuter. Here it is Sarvagnaha, Sarvavit Ishvara. Same. Okay? With the usage of the words also you can make out Shruti means the same thing. Now, what is the difference between Sarvagnaha and Sarvavit? Wise person is also called, is referred as Sarvagnaha. Sarvam Janati. And again, we have to see the implied meaning of these words. This is where you require a tradition. No? This is where you have to understand the word properly. I have met this during this visit to Kumbh Mela. He is a well-known Mahatma, internationally known Mahatma. In the discussion, he said to me that Swamiji, one thing I don't understand is Bhagavan knows everything, and Bhagavan has given the Vedas. Why not all the knowledge is contained in the Veda? All .com should be there in Veda. 5G, 7G, whatever is to come should be there in Veda. Don't understand. Poor fellow missed the teacher. A teacher with a teacher. A teacher who had a teacher, and the teacher's teacher also had a teacher, and teacher's teacher's teacher also had a teacher. He missed the tradition. Sarvagnaha and Sarvavit means what? Samanyataya Sarvam Janati. Sarvagna means Sarvam Janati. Sarvavit, Sarvam Vetti. Sarvagnaha means Samanyataya Janati. And Sarvavit Visheshena Janati. Sarvam iti Sarvavit. What does it mean by Samanyataya? Samanya means, in some loose sense, we can say, what is common. When you go to a goldsmith shop and you see 100,000 ornaments made out of gold, you know it Samanyataya. When you know the gold, when you having known the gold, you can know all the ornaments as though. Ekasmin vignate sarvam khalvidam vignatam bhavati. Kasmin vignate sarvam vignatam bhavati. That was a question. Knowing which all thing becomes known. That means when you know the gold, you know all the ornaments. As the other day I gave an example. Suppose there is a big shop, like a sari shop, then you want cotton sari, there is a different section. The fellow will say, go to the left. You want Banarasi sari, the fellow will say, you will go to first floor. You want terracotta sari, the fellow says, you go to right. So the person who guides you knows everything on the right is nothing but he is terracotta. The person who tells you that go to left, he knows that everything on the left is nothing but cotton. And he says, Banarasi, go upstairs. Similarly, when you go to a big goldsmith shop, in that shop on the right, then they will say, I want to purchase bangles. Then he says, what kind of bangle? Then you say, golden bangle. Then he will say, this is the section meant for it. It means all that is here in that section, there will not be only and only bangles. There may be chains, there may be earrings, there may be hand rings, everything may be there. But then one thing is known to him, that everything is gold. Sarvam samanyataya gnatam. Everything is known as well. Okay? So, and then whatever, everything, what we refer as everything, I know the shop, and or whatever I refer as all is nothing but what? Namarupa. Is only some names and forms. And that being only name and form, it is mithya. And you know everything else is mithya, and their substratum, everything borrows their easiness, everything borrows their existence from good. All the ornaments borrows their existence. Bangle is, chain is, ring is, everything is, because the gold is. And therefore they are mithya. So when you know everything is mithya, and mithya cannot exist on its own. Mithya is something which cannot stand on its own legs. It requires somebody's support. You know, that is a substratum. That is a mula vastu. Mithya requires that mula vastu. So when you know everything is mithya, that means you know the satyam. By knowing everything mithya is not enough. You have to know what is satyam. And when you know satyam, that person is called sarvagnaha. Okay? So the wise person is called sarvagna in this context. Not that wise person knows all the details of everybody. That no wise man can know. Wise person can know. You require God only to know that. Only Ishvara, who has Maya Upadhi, can know everything Visheshata. Sarvagnaha Samanyataya Janati Vishesh Sarvam Visheshataya Janati means one who knows all the details of everything. It is one thing to know that all these ornaments are made of gold, and it is quite another to know what is the weight of each ornament, what is the design of each ornament, what is the composition of each ornament. To know all the details is called Sarvavit. Okay? Ishvara in vernacular language is called as Sarvagna. When you say, oh Bhagavan, you are all knowing, when we say all knowing, we mean that one who knows all the details, everything, gross and subtle, manifest and unmanifest, present or past and future. Everything he knows. That is actually the right word is Sarvavit. But as I said, we often refer him as Sarvagna. And when we refer Ishvara as Sarvagna, we mean this. But then the Sarvagna word is actually used for a wise person in Shastra. And therefore people make this mistake that wise person also knows everything. Guruji is Antaryami. Either Antarjami is Antaryami. He doesn't know. No person can know. You know, there is a definition of Ishvara. One who knows Bhutanam Gatim Gatim. Agatim Gatim. Who knows all the Bhutas, all the living beings, and their karma phalas to come. that was there in the past and in the future. That is Ishvara, which is impossible for a given human being because his or her knowledge depends upon the buddhi. It requires this sharir man indriya buddhi rupi upadhi, and this upadhi being limited, that knowledge also will be limited. Okay? Please be clear about these two words, otherwise we create confusion. All the wise person who know the truth, who know that is Brahman, Sadeva Saumya, that Sad Brahma Ahamasmi Bho, I am that existence, consciousness, limitless Brahman, all the person who know this fact, they are called Sarvajna. Only and only Ishvara can be Sarvavit also. Ishvara is both Sarvagnaha as well as Sarvavit. Krishna Bhagavan knew the truth, which he imparted to Arjuna. The truth, everything, the truth of everything. When he said, Sarva Bhutastamatmanam, Sarva Bhutani Chatmani, Ikshate Yoga Yuktatma, Sarvatra Samadarshanaha, Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra, Sarvam Chamai Pashyati, Tasyaham na Pranashyami, Sachamena Pranashati, etc. He had all the knowledge. But then he knew everything in detail as well. He reveals that fact in the 4th chapter. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna. Tanyaham veda sarvani natvam vetha parantapa. Oh Arjuna, bahuni janmani vyatitani. Many births have passed by for you as well as me. Mama tavacha Arjuna, tavacha Arjuna. No? This, everything, the typical habit of proving the supremacy of Sanskrit language, that English calendar also is borrowed from Sanskrit. Because Bhagavan said, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava Jun. The 4th June was there in Sanskrit. Char Jun, Bhagavan mentioned that was the birthday of Bhagavan, which is how they interpret this Kathakaras, Cha Arjuna. Tani aham Veda Sarvan. I know all of them. All the details. You don't know because you can be only Sarvagna. Whereas I am Sarvavit as well. Okay? Yahas Sarvagna Sarvavit. That means these words implies or they are used for Ishvara. The Ishvara who is Sarvagna Sarvavit. And that Ishvara is referred as Etad Brahma, is referred as Brahman. So Brahman and Ishvara are same. And he says, Yasya Gnanamayam. Okay. So, yesterday we have seen this in detail. Gnana means knowledge. Gnana means inquiry. Gnana not gnana, tapaha. Tapaha can mean knowledge. Tapaha can mean inquiry. Tapaha can mean heat. And tapaha can mean what? It means religious practices, austerities. Also are called tapas. That gnanamayam rayasya tapaha. What kind of penance? He says gnanamayam tapaha. Knowledge alone is tapas. Means that the penance is in the sense of knowledge. Okay? So, who is an embodiment of all knowledge? Because Sarvagna and Sarvavit. Because the creation is to take place. And for the creation to take place, the creator need to know Bhutanam agatim gatim. You know, Utpattim cha vinasham cha. You know, who knows Utpatti, when to create. Who knows Vinasha, when to destroy. That is Ishvara. That is Sarvavid. And Bhutanam agatim gatim. All the living beings going and coming, birth and death, everything is known. Therefore, Jnanamayam. And then he says, Tasmad Brahmana Nama Rupamannam Jayate. We'll take this up in the next class, next Saturday. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Yes, about the Kumbh Mela. I wanted to talk to you.